All right, should we start? You guys want to start?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to call to order the Tuesday, June 30th, 2020 workshop meeting for Verona Borough Council. And we will start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and all.
Thank you. Mr. Kenna, roll call, please.
Okay. President McCarthy is not going to make it this evening. I'll touch base on that after we're finished with roll call. Dr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Forbeck.
present.
Ms. Loalba.
Present.
Mr. Matlin.
Present.
Ms. Provenza.
Yeah, she's here.
She's
Okay.
muted.
Mayor Recupero is also going to be absent. I'll touch base on that as well. Mr. Suchovich.
Present.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Pitch isn't coming because he doesn't typically come to workshops, and I am also here. Couple announcements before we get started. The absence for Mr. Mayor Recupero is because he is having a meeting with several other mayors from around the area on how to handle police shortages during COVID. There's been a couple municipalities that have had positive cases of COVID with their police force. And being that our police force is small, if we had a couple guys go down with coronavirus and get sick and not be able to work, it would be a pretty big issue for us. So he's meeting with the other mayors to come up with a plan on how to work that out. President McCarthy is home sick and has tested positive for COVID-19. He was in Virginia visiting his son and grandchildren and felt sick. They came home. He and Debbie, he went and took a test on Sunday, got back today that it was positive. He and Debbie are quarantining themselves, isolating themselves for the next few weeks. So he will not be making it this evening. He's following CDC guidelines and staying away from everybody, but he did in fact test positive for COVID. The one other thing that I want to mention to the people that are joining remotely, you may see there is no chat and there is no Q&A. Last meeting, things got really disorganized. There were comments in the Q&A, in the chat, also by voice. We didn't get to all the Q&A in the chat. There were some people that did Q&A posts that did them as anonymous attendees. We can't have that. So we're trying to be more organized with it. We're not trying to keep anybody from speaking, but if you want to speak, if you have a comment during either of the public comment times, you need to raise your hand and you'll be called on, and you would need to state your name and address just as if you were at a regular council meeting in council chambers. So that is why there is no Q&A and there is no chat. So with that being said, I am finished.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kenna. We will now hear registered comments from the public. The first person who is registered for this evening is Laura Jacko. Laura, are you there? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Unmute.
Go ahead,
Can
Laura.
you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm on my phone. Normally I'd be on my iPad, but I'm just coming into home now. Well, actually, I know that there had been some questions about what the guidelines were for parks last time, and so I actually put together some information based on a document that I think was actually provided to all of the members of council, but if everybody wanted to go through it, I mean, it might take a while, so we can move this to like a later section of the meeting if you want to, if this meeting goes over Parks and Rec stuff at all. But it's basically like the guidelines that are recommended by the parks, commissions in PA for coronavirus in green, which is what we're in right now. So I mean, it's up to you guys how you want to go over that. I could email you everything, and so council members could just have everything via email if they want to look over it, or we can go over it line by line, which might take a while, or I could answer questions or what have you. It's
Well,
up to you guys if you'd like to go through it.
I think what happened is this came up because before we made the decision to go ahead and just open the parks, which is a decision that we made after the meeting 3 weeks ago. I do believe there are some signs posted at all the parks that have CDC guidelines on them, but I really appreciate your research, Laura, and I think maybe the way to go, unless anybody has any questions, either from the audience or from council, is if you wouldn't mind sending that email to us all, including, the solicitor and the borough manager and everybody, then we'll have it as a reference. And if anything comes up about that, we'll have that to refer to. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think what it is it's not just going over kind of like the CDC stuff. It's also some things that are a little bit more relevant to specific questions that there might be coming up with parks, like, how should basketball games be played? How many spectators should there be? That sort of thing, which is a little bit more nitty gritty than the CDC stuff gets into. And I'll email it to you guys, and you guys can look over it, but it might, they even have recommendations for like pickleball in there. It gets very specific. So we might even consider at each court putting up specific recommendations for those specific courts. Like, hey, this is a pickleball court. Here's how you should be playing, like what the recommendations are for, green, social distancing.
For the green phase, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so.
It gets pretty specific, I would say.
Yeah, and that's great. And then, so maybe we can figure out how to send that information to the people specifically involved in that activity, like Jeff Pepper for pickleball. You don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of it. Just get it to us and we will disseminate it appropriately to the people who need to see it.
Okay, cool. I will do that. Basically what I did is there's a really long document that I think actually everybody might have gotten a copy of already, but I'll resend it. And then I went through and I actually specifically pulled out the parts that I thought were relevant to us. Because that long document had stuff in there about pools. Okay, well, we don't have a pool, but that's not relevant. But we do have basketball courts, so I pulled out that information essentially and put that into one smaller document, which might be easier to get through, and I felt was just more relevant to Verona's specific needs. So yep, I can get that sent off to everybody, and that, I think that should be good for me.
All right, thank you very much for your efforts, Laura. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Sandy Drebecki Bell is on the registered comments list, but if I'm not mistaken, I do not see her on here. Do
I
you
don't
see
see
her?
it either.
Okay, so if you're on here, Sandy, under a different name, raise your hand and we'll get to you. So now we're going to hear comments from the public on agenda items. Please approach the podium. That's hilarious. And clearly state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. I think Donald or Rhoda Wharf was first.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay, they're muted though.
Yeah, they have to.
Oh, there we go. Go ahead. Rhoda, Donald, hello? Uh-oh. Can't hear you. That may be the same problem I was having. But can any of you hear them? No. Donald or Rhoda, you might want to try signing off and signing back in again, and then raise your hand again and we'll come back to you, okay? So let's go to Jessica.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. So, hi, my comment today is actually just about the agenda. It's really about the transparency and communication to the public about council meetings. And a lot of you know, one of the reasons I started the Verona Community Group and built a website and the email list a couple of years ago was to make sure that the Verona residents had a place to find information. Back then, the borough website was down, and we were undergoing that big change for several months. So that left a pretty big, communications gap. But since that time, we've got a new website, but I feel like the communication gaps are still continuing. We get last minute information about how the public can attend meetings. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but I set up Zoom meetings myself, and they're really quick to set up. And just sending this information out a little bit earlier would be extremely helpful. I got the information myself later in the day because I was pretty busy with meetings all day, so I didn't get to send it out. I'm not sure how others in the community are finding out about it. I know it was on Facebook. We also don't really get agendas in advance. Sometimes we get them the day prior, sometimes not at all. Sometimes I try to follow up and get them, but life is busy. And really often the only reason I'm able to get these days is because I'm married to a councilman, and the public should not have to marry one of you in order to get this basic information. And notification of public hearings is another thing. I know you're following the Sunshine Act requirements, but that's kind of it. They're not posted to the website in any way. They're posted in the penny saver, so you really have to look hard. The public has to look pretty hard in order to find that information. And I try to get it and then circulate it out, but there really could be a better effort in order to share that information with the community. So in the absence of having all that posted to the borough website, I'm happy to send out my own emails, Facebook posts, etc. But I mean, I have a pretty demanding job, and I'm typically in meetings all day, and so then I'm not able to get to it really quickly. And I just feel like these agendas and information should be posted to the borough website, along with any other information that's going to be reviewed at the meeting that's public information. I know sometimes there's attachments, and the public is kind of like left in the dark to know what you guys are talking about. I also think this should be done the Friday prior to the meeting. It allows time for the public to read the agenda, plan if they have any comments that they want to make in advance. I mean, you request that to be done in the beginning if it's an agenda item, so I think that's only fair. And also there's approved minutes. They should be posted to the website in a timely manner. I had been going through the kind of tedious task of filling out that form, making a formal request for these minutes through Marcia in the borough office, and then I would go and post them to the community group website. But honestly, this is public information that should not be difficult to access, and it really shouldn't be my job to provide this service to the public. In fact, our borough residents already pay somebody to do these things that I've mentioned. I just feel as though ensuring that the public receives this information in a timely manner, just posting basic information like this to the website, they're all responsibilities of the borough manager. So I would ask that council develops a plan to ensure that this really basic information be made available to the public, starting with the July council meeting. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess. Hopefully we can endeavor to do better. Brian, I guess, is next.
All right, Duncan.
Hi,
Go ahead,
Brian.
Brian.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All right, hi there. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment. I'm sorry, my address. Sorry, name Brian Duncan. Address 646 4th Street. I'm also the RAA baseball commissioner. I know that we've worked closely with the Verona Rec Board. Jim Ashbaugh is our contact, RAA liaison, I believe is the official title. So wanted to touch base about Cribbs Field. First of all, I think it's awesome that the bathrooms are open. That's great. I know that back when we established an agreement when the lights went in about what would be our responsibility and what would be borough responsibility, that it was agreed upon that the RAA would take care of the infields, borough would handle grass and weeds and trimming and all that kind of stuff. And we just seemed to get away from that a little bit, so I wanted to see if we could touch base and just kind of bring that back together. A couple specific issues is, one, the grass in the batting cage area wasn't cut, so we just took it upon ourselves to cut it because it was very long, like knee high. The other concern is dragging of the infields. We certainly appreciate the sentiment from the borough employees that are dragging the field. However, there's been a couple instances where they've ripped out the bases, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with how those go in, but there's about a half a bag of concrete in a hole with the base anchor. And so to pull that out, I mean, that's pretty substantial. But then also they just kind of have been tossing them near the backstop, and not alerting anybody. So we go up there and it's all of a sudden, oh man, there's a base missing. And then we have to redig the hole because they've covered up the hole, and then we have to put the base back in and all that. So even just some communication when something like that happens would be great. And then the final item is two more quick things. The scoreboard. I guess there was a piece of the scoreboard that was hanging down from like a wind situation. And I'm assuming the borough employees or somebody put up some caution tape around it. Again, we weren't alerted that anything was wrong. We just, one of us just happened to be by the field one day. It was like, hey, what's up? Something's wrong with the scoreboard. We went up there, fixed it, took the caution tape down, no problem. Like lickety split. Like it was pretty quick, easy fix. Again, just some communication to let us know, hey, scoreboard looks a little wonky, something happened, can we take a look at it? And then, the last thing is keys to cribs. In the past, we have had keys. In order for us to maintain what we need to maintain, meaning the infields and keeping things the way they should be, we really need keys to get in there. Now, I know the police do open it, or the borough employees, whoever opens it, when it's a nice day. But certainly there's some times where it might have rained and, so they don't keep it open, or they don't open it as early. But also because, we sometimes have, we have field carts that we need to get in and out of the shed up there. Those can't go through the man gates, even if the main gates are open. We need to open up those bigger gates. Like we have a new cart, for example, to get up there. So, I mean, that's just a couple of the things that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention and to see if we could have some resolution on those. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Janet, do you want to address some of these issues when it's time for your report?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. All right, now we have Donald or Rhoda. Maybe their sound is working now. Okay, go ahead. Donald, Rhoda, somebody? Still not working. I can't hear them. Can you guys?
No.
Oh, I don't know what's going on, but we can't hear you guys.
Got it,
Warren.
Joey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Jerry. Is this on?
Yes.
Thank you. Warren from Vogel's Lane. I just want to share again, I did mention about the intersection where we have Athletic and Vogel's, where there's an approach from four sides. There's no stop signs. I know it was a discussion last meeting. It was going to be discussed by committee. I just want to know what the findings were, or at least the discussion towards that. I know Mayor's not here, but if I could hear from the committee, please. It seems that I find myself going to the wrong monthly meeting sometimes, where it's sometimes asked that we bring it to a workshop meeting to discuss and fold, and we get to the discussion at the workshop meeting, and then it's not a discussion. So I just want to get up to speed with what it was for the intersection there. And I agree. Someone mentioned about, I've mentioned this in other past meetings. I still believe we're a full-time community. I pay full-time millage, and I have expectations that things are made without request. And if it's public information, I do agree it should be on a public website, and it shouldn't have to be by request or reactionary. So I just do want to echo that sentiment that was shared earlier. So if I could hear from the committee, please, on the stop sign for public safety, or whoever would have discussed that. Thank you.
Yeah, Dave from Department of Public Works Committee is going to probably talk about that during his report.
Yeah, I have that in my my portion of the meeting.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Dave.
it. Thank you.
Okay. Hello? Nothing. I don't know what could be the problem why we can't hear them.
Are we able to promote them onto the screen and see if that would work?
Unmute and try again. Can't hear you. I don't know what to say other than my fix for that is to completely sign off and start over, but maybe you did that already. I don't know what the problem is. So we'll keep our eye out for you guys, but we can't hear you.
Nancy, would they be able to call someone and try to speak through someone's phone that way, or?
Yeah, if that's what it takes. If they want to call my landline, that'd be fine.
There's dial-in information on the
On the link.
on the
Yeah.
link also. They could just dial in.
Yeah.
Is there a way to raise your hand on the dial-in, though? I wonder.
No. All right, well, let's move on, and if they come back, we'll listen to what they have. Oh, hold on. He just called me and then it went away. Hold on a second.
I can run over next door with my computer and she can talk.
All right. Well, let me try. I don't know. All right, here they are.
Can you hear me? Yeah. We're getting a little bit of an echo here.
Yeah. You have to sign off of the Zoom thing and it will
Use
stop
computer.
echoing.
Just mute my.
No, it doesn't work. You have to sign out. You can come back in.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Can you guys hear them?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Don Wharf, 636 3rd Avenue, Verona. I just want to know why the demo hearing that was scheduled for this afternoon was canceled.
We didn't think that it was fair to do it via Zoom in case the homeowner wasn't able to attend via Zoom.
Okay, will that have to be re-advertised for another, I believe it's 10 days? Will that have to be re-advertised again?
Probably. We haven't picked a new time and day yet. We aren't tearing down buildings anyway, so there was no urgency to have it this evening. And with everything, with stuff with the president, as you heard earlier, going on, and it just seemed more prudent to postpone it at this time.
Okay. What did that cost as far as advertising?
I don't know, Don. But what I suggested that
Who do we advertise these hearings? What newspaper do we use?
the only newspaper in the area is the Valley News Dispatch. Well, I guess the Post Gazette is also in the area.
We use the Post Gazette or the Tribune Review?
We use the Valley News, which is the Tribune Review.
Okay, well, I don't think it's delivered here in Verona. That's the problem I'm seeing. I don't see these advertised anywhere. So I get the Post-Gazette. That's the only newspaper I believe that's delivered to homes in Verona.
Well, let me say this, Donald, let me say this. Because Jessica raised a very good point in her comments earlier, and I had never thought to send advertisements to get posted in the various organization groups that are out there, like she does. And because I don't do that in any other community, but it just makes a whole ton of sense. So I will make it a point, because it's the legislature, when they recodified the borough code a few years ago, should have anticipated that print newspapers going by the wayside. And unfortunately, the code still says it has to be in a print newspaper. You can put it anywhere else you want to put it, but you're required to put it in the print newspaper. So I will absolutely send it to Jessica, as well as, you know, to Jerry to get it on the website, but so she can get it out in the community as well. I just think that that's an excellent idea, because people in Verona especially like to be informed. Not that other places don't, but, you know, there's more people want to be informed.
I agree with that. And unfortunately, when Jessica was talking, I had to leave and then come back again, so I must have missed what she said there. And well, that's a good comment that she made. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm just adding my comments to her comments then.
Thanks, Don.
Okay, that's all I have to say.
Bye.
Okay, Rhoda Ward, 636 3rd Street in Verona. I'm just double checking some of the items that I had on my list. Now that the weather is so fabulous, if maybe the streets crew could check some of the grates, like on 2nd Street and Wood Street. They're filled with debris. And also, I don't know where we're at with the lines on East Railroad Avenue as far as marking lines and North Avenue. And I was hoping that now that the weather is so fabulous, if we can repaint all the blue handicap curbs and repaint the yellow colored corners on all streets. Now that the weather is great, it would be, you know, it would make sense to do that work if they're able to.
As far as the parking tees on East Railroad and North, I spoke with Matt about it, and he took the time to do the measuring and figuring out exactly how many we can have and where to place them. And he said that he's got about a half a day of work with the guys as far as drawing them out, and then the guys will have about a day's worth of work in getting them down. So I would expect that within the next couple weeks.
Are they going to include center, that little block of center between East Railroad and ARB, and a block of south from East Railroad and ARB?
I believe that they're talking about doing the entire business district. So
Great.
it'll be, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Like I'm reiterating what I'm saying, like even the blue handicap curbs and the yellow curbs, the corners on all the streets would be great.
Mm.
If that could be done.
Can that be done, Jerry?
Well, yeah, we'll look into it. I know that they're working through the list that they have already. And so I want to make sure that they get through that list. And we'll see what else we can add to it. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Okay, so you guys want to stay on the phone while you get your computer fixed?
I don't think we have much more to say. We're pretty satisfied.
That's fine. I'm just saying so you can hear the meeting.
Well, I'm going to come back onto Zoom and listen to it.
Okay.
I can hear you guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Looks like Joey has his hand up again.
Are we going to do that where we're going to go to people again a second time through?
Well, I'm going to assume that it's something very quick as a follow-up, maybe. I don't really want to leave him hanging.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that, Vice President. I think, so the 3 minutes is for Robert's rules, so everyone gets a chance to say something before the next, I believe. But for public comment, I'd hope for a workshop I could have a second comment. What I wanted to say was I would normally stand up and say in front of the podium is that I think just the underlying issue is that the solicitor's suggestion that we get these things to Jessica just compounds the underlying issue. A community group should not be supplementing the work of paid employees with their volunteer time. And to that, I don't think Facebook is, sorry to upset you, Jerry, by saying that. I don't think that Facebook should be considered a
Get used
news
to it.
source. I think that, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Joey, what'd you say?
I was going to finish and say that, and this is public comment, by the way, I'm sorry. I'm a resident, I pay millage, I'm a part of the community. I'm trying to provide insight and feedback. I think that's my role as a resident. So I don't mean to upset anyone or have anyone have facial expressions where I'm offending them to mention these things. I think it's my job as a resident. I don't believe that when we go to publications, and if the newspaper source, the single source we have, is not mailed to all residences, then I don't think that would work well. So if it is a Post-Gazette or another publication, I know we get another publication here, that's maybe a place to go, but Facebook is not a news source. I don't think a volunteer should place it there, as much as I appreciate and respect the efforts of community members doing volunteer work. I think that's the role and responsibility of our municipality with what we pay to have done. Thank you.
Thanks, Joey. Okay. Any responses to anything from you guys at this point, or you want to wait for your, oh, go ahead, Craig.
I do. I was muted. I don't disagree with what Joey said at all about it being the municipality's responsibility. But when I listened to what Jessica had to say, my understanding from her comments is that she welcomed if somebody would send her this information to post it on the Verona community bulletin board or whatever it is as an additional medium on top of where it's legally required to be, as well as maybe the borough website, so that more eyes have the opportunity to see it. That's what I thought I heard her say. And if I was mistaken, then I was mistaken. But, you know, that's why I suggested that I would do it.
And what I heard too, though, from Jessica was it really isn't her job to have to go and fill out a right to know request every time.
I heard that too.
Yeah,
That's why I would voluntarily do this. I think there's better ways to do things.
Yeah. Can we use, does the Valley News Dispatch get delivered to Verona, to homes if people subscribe?
I don't know that. I don't know whether it's just sold in the grocery store or whether it gets delivered. I mean, the Verona is a Valley municipality.
I just wonder whether we want to consider advertising in the Post-Gazette.
We can do that. I have no problem with that. It's a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's getting delivered and the other one's not. It makes sense to use it.
So maybe we can.
The problem with the Post-Gazette also is that I think they're down to just 2 or 3 days of publication a week. So we just have to be careful, you know, when we get it in for timeliness sake. But that's my responsibility.
Okay, well, we'll look further into that then, okay?
Yes.
All right, I think what's coming up next now is Borough Manager Jerry Kenna.
Meeting minutes were distributed to council members last week by Marcia. We would need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion and approve the minutes.
Okay, motion made by Mike.
Second.
Second by Ray. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay.
The next thing I wanted to talk about that came up, the police car, the Crown Vic, is at McDade's. The air conditioner stopped working. The estimate that we got to repair it was $1,100. The car's not worth that. Spoke with Mike, spoke with the chief spoke with the mayor. We're planning to get a new police car this year. I don't think that it's necessary to spend $1,100 for that right now. I think Mike's in agreement.
Yes.
So we kind of need to figure out, I think our last plan was going to be to get another Explorer, a marked police car, get rid of the unmarked car that code enforcement is using, and that code enforcement and Annette would share the Crown Victoria. I think at this point, I don't think they're going to want to drive that car without air conditioning. So I think we're probably going to be pushed into getting rid of the Crown Victoria first. I think that we probably still want to consider getting rid of the other car at some point this year and maybe replace it with something less expensive if the money works out. But at this point, I think we need to move forward with buying a marked police car and selling the Crown Victoria for whatever it's worth at this point, instead of putting the money into fixing it again. So I don't know if there wants to be a discussion on that. I do have one more thing that I need to go over with you, if you want to move on or you want to discuss.
I just have a question. Originally, and I honestly can't remember the details, when you came up with that very creative idea about how to get full-time police, and you
Part-time.
were saying, you know, yeah, well,
Yeah.
originally it was full-time, and then
Well,
we didn't get full-time.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
plan to do all this with the cars and to increase the budget by doing the cars was to increase the part-time wages in order to cover the cost of the increase in part-time wages.
Okay, so
So
now
the-
that's been
Yes.
foiled, right?
Right.
Because of that.
It has,
Yeah.
because that car, we were going to keep that car and sell the other car because it was worth more. But I don't think that we're going to be able to do that because it just doesn't make sense to put $1,100 into a car that's worth $5,000.
So what's Annette gonna drive?
I think that Annette, I'm going to go over that with the chief, either the unmarked car, the unmarked silver car, or the unmarked white car, and she would share it with Mark.
Makes sense.
Okay, so originally I thought I heard you say that she didn't like driving such a big car.
Yeah, I know, but we don't really have much of a choice with that anymore because everything's SUVs now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get that she's more comfortable in the car, but it's, I don't really know what choice we have at this point.
All right,
Everything's going to SUVs, so.
yeah.
And I would
Crown
prefer
Vic's
her.
just as big as that Crown Vic's just as big as an Explorer.
Yeah, it's longer, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
yeah.
not high. It's not as high. She's short.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
seats are
prefer that
adjustable.
I would prefer that she drives the unmarked Explorer, either the silver one or the white one anyway, because I don't like the fact that she drives a marked police car.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, all right. The other thing, I'm going to share my screen. I had a conversation with Matt today. So the repair work on Wildwood, he's been going over this. Let me remember how to share my screen here. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the repair work that he has that needs to be done. Basically, this is what they're proposing to do. Originally, they were going to replace all of it with concrete, like is what is there. But if you look, can you see my cursor or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this one here is the most significant, and then this one here. But if you look at these cracks that are happening right here, as this concrete was removed, there were fracture cracks. And this is going to continue to happen. So their fear here is that if they were to try to break this up or to start putting concrete here, that it's going to continue to crack. And if they start to take this pad out to replace it, we're going to have cracks on this pad, and that we're going to end up basically replacing the entire road worth of concrete. What their suggestion was, what Pampina's suggestion was to keep this asphalt patch here, keep this section right here as asphalt, and keep this section right here as asphalt. This little piece up here was done years ago. That wasn't part of the new one. And then to replace the concrete along the parking lane here, or the shoulder, and then around this catch basin here, just in order to prevent having to open up a can of worms and go all the way across the street. In addition, by cutting this line here and leaving this alone, he is talking about putting a concrete curb here so that we have a better drainage system here than this just little lip here. But by doing that, instead of putting everything as concrete, it'll take the cost from $43,000 for this repair to $23,000 for this repair. And the $43,000 is if we don't have any additional stress cracks as we continue to open up this concrete to do the repair. So if it continues to crack, we could end up with $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of repairs, if not more, because we could end up going all the way across Wildwood. I talked to Matt about it, and we kind of went back and forth about it. I don't love the fact that it's going to be mix and match. It's going to have sections of concrete and sections of asphalt. He said that this concrete or this asphalt that we would be leaving is in good shape, and that he thinks that it would be fine. My take on it would be that if we're going to do this, we should probably put these sections of Wildwood on the calendar, maybe not this year or next year, but soon, to start doing like we did at the bottom of Center, where we start picking concrete slabs to replace. It's expensive. I mean, that little section of Center Avenue cost us about $35,000. But if we can start picking off pieces of it, we kind of ran through the numbers on what it's going to cost if we decided to pave all of Wildwood. And he's just, without actually talking to any contractors, but he's ballparking probably $750,000. So if not more, and that would be to remove the concrete and pave it. So we're talking a lot of money. He doesn't feel that there's definitely sections of Wildwood that are bad, but that the whole road doesn't warrant a $750,000 paving project. There's roads that need it more. He is okay with this proposal. So I told him I would bring it up to council tonight, and we could discuss it and hopefully have an answer to him on whether to go forward with this or whether we want to take the chance and do the concrete fully.
Jerry, is all the concrete Wildwood Verona's, or is any part of it Penn Hills? Do you know?
Up until, McDermott's is the first building in Penn Hills.
So
I
all of
believe
the, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I believe all of Wildwood from McDermott's down is all considered Verona Borough. There are sections of property on the city side of Wildwood that are Penn Hills, or pieces of which are Penn Hills. But I believe that creek is the dividing line, that
I believe it is.
creek back there. So all of that is on the city side of Wildwood.
Even where McDermott's is, the street itself is Verona, correct?
I think that's right where it stopped.
Yeah.
I think that's right around where it stops. I'm not sure at what point it stops, but I know that like all the cars that are parked there and all the complaints that we get about the cars is a Penn Hills concern. It's not a Verona concern.
I think isn't it from Shannon down is Penn Hills so far? Because remember we asked them when we did the
On
paving.
second.
What?
On
On
second.
Some of that is, because didn't we ask Penn Hills for the pave, to help pay for some of that paving?
Correct.
So what you're proposing, Jerry, is a lot of places that we thought were originally going to be asphalt to make them concrete instead?
Opposite.
Opposite.
What?
Opposite. So sections that we originally thought would be concrete will be asphalt instead.
Okay, because I'm looking at this sign. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. But it says asphalt to be replaced with concrete.
Correct. So that asphalt that's there in that picture is patchwork from when they did the repair on Second, and they had to tie it into Wildwood. So in order so that they could make the road drivable, they already put asphalt down to patch that up and make it passable. So the plan has been that once the weather broke and these guys could get back to work, that we would replace the asphalt patches with concrete so that it all tied into Wildwood the way it's supposed to. We got obviously delayed because of COVID, but now there's some concerns that that by trying to dig this all up to make it concrete, we could end up opening up a bigger can of worms. And even if we didn't open up any other can of worms, the concrete repair job would be $43,000, where leaving the asphalt where the arrows are that says for asphalt patch to remain
Yeah.
would be 23. So it would almost cut it in half.
So Jerry, on it says slab near manhole at the right-hand corner there. That red line, is that where they're going to cut that? Or are they talking about moving that back to make it a clean line where the fractures were, and then that's all going to be asphalt?
So this red line,
Yeah.
This red line would be the line from concrete and asphalt. So all this would remain. There might be some touch-up work to make it look okay, but this would become concrete. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I got it. Okay.
And then same thing down here, like around this catch basin, this would all be concrete. This little patch right here would stay asphalt.
Oh, I see.
And then eventually the rest of it will be asphalt as we do piece by piece, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So it'll be a little piecemeal, but eventually it's going to end up being all asphalt in the end. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at some point, but it's a long road. It's a wide road. You know, for us to do a project now to try to pave that whole road, Matt was ballparking that we're probably at least $750,000.
Yeah, no, you can't do that now. Yeah.
You know, my thought of it would be to start looking at grant money, and similar to what we have going on with First Street, to see if maybe we can just keep putting in grants, and maybe at some point we could get it, like we did for the traffic light at the bottom of it. It is, I brought up the fact that it's pretty much the last thoroughfare, like heavily traveled road. Once we have Second complete, and then obviously First, Center's good. South isn't. We're just going to leave that cobblestone, I think. ARB was recently done. East Railroad was recently done. Center was recently done. So I think, Wildwood is probably the most heavily traveled road that hasn't been touched in a while, in a long time. So it's probably something that needs to be on our radar. But at $750,000, it's probably something that we need to be looking for grant money for.
I think if I'm not mistaken, on a lot of this patching that he did, when he finished his job, they used a cold patch mix, like it's not a hot mix bituminous top. So that, if you put the regular hot mix down, that's going to be a heck of a lot stronger and more secure. It's not going to pop out like the cold patch like that's doing.
Right.
Ray, which area are you referring to? Are you referring to all the?
I'm talking to any of this stuff that they patched here, Dave, where it says asphalt patch to remain. You know, where they're talking about leaving that asphalt. Where Jerry was showing where the line is on the top right corner, where the line is, and where it says asphalt to remain.
Yep.
A lot of that's probably just a cold patch mixture until they can get a hot mix in the summer. In the winter, they can't get hot mix.
Yeah. I'm looking. I had emailed Matt about this today, and he had said, I don't know if all of the asphalt patching, but he said the hot mix was used when it was originally patched near the island, and he said it's in good shape. Now and it's hard to tell for sure from the photos, and I haven't looked at this in person, but I would agree with you. If it's cold patch, then it's probably not going to hold up long term. But if it's
a lot of times a cold patch is just to get you through the winter, potholes, so you can get through until you can come in and dig it up and put hot mix in it.
Yeah, I don't think if there's anywhere that's still cold patch, I don't think that there's an intention of leaving cold patch. I think that it would be replaced with a hot.
I don't think you can.
Yeah. No. I'm not sure what is cold and what's hot. I don't remember exactly what was discussed back then. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, by Matt's assessment, if he thinks that whatever existing hot patch is okay, and whatever would be, you know, patched further with asphalt, with hot mix would be okay. I mean, I think leaving some of it as asphalt for now, I think, I mean, I would share his concern about it spiraling into a bigger project once. I mean, that concrete is in pretty rough shape in some areas, and if they start digging some of it up and it starts fracturing and continuing, it could be a lot more than we bargained for at this point in time. I think it's beyond the scope of the original project. So I would agree with Matt's assessment so far.
I would agree and go with it. I would agree with Matt also and go with the hot mix, the patch, and get it done that way. And, you know, we can save ourselves a little bit of money at going at it that way too. And the road will be done and it'll be done. It'll be a good job they do.
Yeah, and I agree as long as it's going to be an overall plan to get this in other roads, which I know that's happening. So I would agree with also.
Yeah, I
agree
definitely
with
think
that one.
we should look at grants to continue, you know, do further repairs on that road. So I would agree.
Do we need to make some kind of motion for this or just say that we agree?
I don't know.
Craig, what do you think?
You approving it? I'd do it by motion.
Okay, so I'd like a motion to accept Matt and Jerry's proposal for Wildwood.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Ray,
I'll second it.
Mike. Okay, any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? All right, so the motion carries. All right,
Okay,
excellent.
cool. So I'll let Matt know. We'll move forward with that and get it done as soon as possible.
I would say any summer projects that we've been waiting for a long dry spell, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna rain for 2 weeks.
Well, you're at the mercy of the contractor at this point too, because they're backed up because of the COVID also.
Okay.
You know, he's not gonna come in tomorrow and start digging it up. You
No,
know?
I know. But
Yeah, these
even
guys-
just our local stuff too, though, painting and all that. Can you unshare your screen now, Jerry?
Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
I don't right now. Thank you.
Okay. So next would be the mayor, and he's not here. And I saw that he wrote down Wildwood Road repair, so maybe that's what you were talking about. But
Yeah.
I don't know unless someone talked to him about the Chamber of Commerce car cruise, what he wrote there.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
I mean, I know that we had the chamber meeting. Sylvia, you were there. A couple other people were there. And for now, they were planning to have it. I wonder if if they're having second thoughts about having it, given what's going on. I just don't know why he had that there.
Maybe that was the point he was going to say that they were having it.
Maybe. So I don't know what else to say. I don't see anything under Mr. McCarthy's section, so we will move on to the committee reports. Generally, Craig, you're not here. Is there anything that you'd like to share with us at this time?
No, we had our code and ordinance committee meeting on Monday, and we're still moving forward with a lot of that activity. Working with Mark on some of the code enforcement activities. We will get the demo hearings rescheduled as quickly as possible. And if we have some of these ordinances that we're working on ready to go, we can always do it in one large advertisement so as to minimize the costs of multiple advertisements as well. That's really all I have to report on.
Okay, thanks.
Is there going to be anything on the resolution for the VOP?
Thank you. I did. Yes. If go on and I'll pull that up and then I'll come back to me.
Okay. All right. Dave Matlin, your turn.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The first thing I had is I had a meeting last week with Laura Jacko from the Verona Shade Tree Commission, as well as Rick Duncan and Kathy Rayborn from the Penn Hills Shade Tree Commission. Rick's a friend of mine, and he had reached out about the trees that were planted. 15 trees were planted by the Penn Hills Shade Tree Commission last fall, 2019. These, you probably recognize them. You see them as you're coming in towards the Giant Eagle Shopping Center. It's just before you hit Verona. They're having trouble finding a water source to water those. These new trees need about 2 years, the first 2 years, and they need somewhat regular watering. They estimated maybe really only during the summer months, but about 10 weeks a year, depending on the rainfall. They have a couple pickup trucks with 2 50-gallon tanks. And they're really just looking for a place to fill up the tanks that's nearby, that's flat. It's kind of precarious taking them up and down Wildwood into Penn Hills where they have water sources, and it's a little bit farther away. So basically, they were asking if they'd be able to use one of our water sources. Laura and I discussed possibly if we could allow them to use the spigot by the gazebo near the Borough Building parking lot. It'd be easy access. I looked at the Oakmont water rates just to get an idea of what this would cost us. They're looking at for 10 weeks, 200 gallons per trip, because they have to fill up each tank twice. It's about 2,000 gallons a year they might use. This is assuming normal weather patterns. At $5.28 a gallon per 1,000 gallons, it would really only add about 10 or 11 bucks to our water bill. So what they offered in return, in addition to this improving the beautification of that corridor and replacing the beautiful sycamore trees that were cut down, they offer that anytime the Verona Shade Tree Commission would need to use their tanks, their equipment for any kind of watering, they'd be more than welcome to. They'd be happy to show them. I don't know if Laura and the Shade Tree Commission have any immediate needs for that, but we both felt that it was, be kind of a goodwill gesture for us to let them use that. So if a motion is needed, I'd be happy to make one. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts or comments. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we allow the Penn Hills Shade Tree Commission to use the Verona Borough water spigot by the gazebo to water these trees along Allegheny River Boulevard.
I'll second.
Okay, any more questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. The other thing I wanted to bring up, county hauling, garbage and recycling collection. I believe at the last meeting we discussed and we put out a notice to residents to try to collect any feedback or complaints that people had about issues, which was something that we came up with a meeting that Jerry and Craig and I had with county hauling. So Jerry or anyone else really, I don't know if we've had a lot of complaints or what the status is.
I do think that we've had a little bit of an uptick because I think more people are reaching out to Marcia that probably didn't realize that was the process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we've had necessarily an uptick in problems, probably just in the reporting of them. She copies me on the replies or the emails to county hauling, and everything that she has emailed, they have responded back in a pretty timely manner. And and I haven't seen anything have to go through twice. So I think that they're actually doing it. We did receive the $15,000 security deposit, and we have been receiving exception reports and things like that every week. So things have improved on our side as far as that goes.
Okay.
I know there was a recent email that came in that showed some pictures of some broken garbage cans and so on. I think everybody saw that.
Yeah, that was forwarded to county hauling as well. I don't know that there's been a response to that one yet. I get copied on the email out, but if they just reply to Marcia, I don't necessarily see it until she forwards it to me. So I will follow up with Marcia and see.
Okay.
Jerry, do you have a sense of what the complaints are? I mean, are they mostly about missed pickups, or are there other things? Or
missed pickups.
I mean, I know Stephanie had the issue with the broken garbage cans.
Right.
So I don't.
Yeah. So most of the complaints that we're getting are still missed pickups. Usually it's like one house. One complaint was that it was one can of the 3 that were out there. They missed just one can. But yeah, the vast majority of the complaints that are coming through at this point are missed pickups still.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what the next steps are, what we can continue to do to keep on them. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people in the public that are still frustrated with just missed pickups and general, issues with their garbage cans. But I'm not sure if anyone else has any feedback or.
I think that we talked about this a little bit yesterday at the ordinance meeting, and I think that there are some very small alleys where they go down with a smaller truck or something, and they put as much as they can in the smaller truck, and then they don't go to the end of the alley. They take the little truck, dump it in the bigger truck, and then they don't go back and finish whatever alley that is. I don't even know where that might be. So I think along the main roads, like where I live, I never have a problem. I know many people who are not dealing with alleys don't have a problem with their garbage pickup. It seems to be more in the alleys. So I don't remember what alley that is, but anyway.
I would agree with that. I think the majority of the complaints that we're getting are alley pickups.
So they sound like maybe focused on those particular areas. So, I mean, they could resolve that.
Yeah, well, they mentioned something about using a smaller truck with a automatic arm, but I have yet to see that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I mean, they're not the first ones that's collected garbage in Verona and in the alley, so it's been done before, so I'm sure it could be done.
Yeah, I don't, whatever alley that is, that I'm not remembering the precise alley, they need to go back and get the end of the alley, because there's many people who are not getting their recycling picked up for weeks and weeks on end. And so I'd like to see everybody be able to have all their garbage done every time.
One thing that I also learned is that they did hire a new full-time customer service department head that's going to work in the office full-time to deal with these types of customer service issues. And that person, I believe, started work about a week and a half ago. So let's monitor again for the next 30 days or 45 days till the regular meeting, and we'll look at it again in July and then again in August and see where we are. If it doesn't get better, obviously we're going to have to do some talking about whether we want to call a default on the contract. But if it is getting better, let's see how they're doing. It seems like they're putting effort into it. And if we know what this alley is, I'll go directly back to the lawyer and say, look, this alley's still giving us problems. I'm emailing the lawyer directly with the pictures from Stephanie of the broken cans. I know that Jerry sent them to county hauling director directly. I'm sending them to the lawyer directly.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Thank you. Anything else, Dave?
Yeah, just want to see, Jerry, do you have, we talked about maybe doing some kind of monthly public works report or update.
Yeah. I will, yeah, I'll sit down with you, and I got to get with AJ and figure out. He does these like daily logs, but I think it's probably more, I think the summary thing that you're looking for is a little bit better. So I'll get with you this week and we'll get that ironed out.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you have any update on, I know Rhoda mentioned early on about the maintenance items list. I think I checked here, and I think that original list we reviewed back in April had the blue handicap curves and the yellow corners. It was kind of near the bottom because I think there were a lot of higher priority items, but I don't know if you've heard from AJ on any of the other.
I've not heard from that as far as the paint, the yellow curbs or and I don't have that list in front of me. I was going to pull it up, but it'll take me a minute. I know that the line painting has been done on Center. We got the lines painted, and I
On
believe
Second
Second's
also.
done. Yeah, Second's done as well. But I'll get with AJ tomorrow before I meet with you, Dave, and figure out where he's at on that list and figure out when he's going to do that. Those curbs. We had a guy that got hurt last week or the week before and was out for a few days on workers' comp and hurt his back pretty bad. So they've been a little bit shorthanded. So, but they're working.
Okay.
Since you're talking about the painting, are we talking about painting the handicap spots in front of people's houses? Or are you talking just the main drag?
I think in front of the houses too.
Yeah.
There's a couple places that have handicap that person maybe passed away or moved. There's still a handicap sign there that doesn't really need to be there. They use
How do
it
we
just
figure that out?
Well, yeah. How do you figure it out? I mean, only because maybe you know the person or the residents in question.
Do we have a list of all of the handicap spots in town and what address they're associated with?
I don't know that we do, Nancy.
I'll adopt that. But I know one or two in town that there's no need for them to have a handicap spot. So, I mean, we can maybe compose a list if anybody knows any.
Compile a list and see if we can do some research to see who still needs one.
Maybe Marcia can do that in her spare time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I wanted to mention that about the painting, about the handicap.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, Ray. I mean, I would agree that maybe we need to revisit that before they just do them
Before
all.
they paint them, and I don't know. I'll get the address for the one or two I'm talking about. I don't know who to give it to. Dave,
Marcia.
Jerry, or Marcia. What?
Send it to me, Ray.
Okay. That way, there's no sense of painting something that they're not using.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd think the people would let us know because that takes away from a parking spot in front of their house.
They like that spot. They still can use it. They still use their brothers or parents' handicap placard, and they're just as healthy as me and you.
Yeah.
So, something to look into.
Yeah, we can take a look. The other thing, I know there was talk, I think Jerry and Craig were going to look into possible COG paving, using the COG paving equipment. There were maybe some issues. I don't know if you guys have any update on that.
I do not. I know that COG went back to having a live meeting this past week, I believe. But my understanding with the paving equipment is that it's shared between the municipalities and you reserve it for a period of time. And I think Verona has the manpower to be able to handle it without being assisted from a neighboring community. But I think some of the communities assist each other with the use of the equipment, and then when the other municipality needs to use it, assistance will be given to them. But I can follow up with Tom Benecki and provide a report on that at the regular meeting.
Okay. Thanks, Craig.
Yep.
The only other thing I had, as Joey alluded to, the stop signs. I was reviewing this with Matt a little bit, and I know Athletic and Vogel's is the one that Joey pointed out, and I think Trish had pointed out at least a couple. I have a list. I don't recall the intersections off the top of my head, but I'm gonna get a list together of the stop signs that we think, or the intersections that we think are missing stop signs around town. And these would be intersections where there's a 3 or 4-way stop and there's no clear right of way for one direction or the other, because that's a safety hazard. Now, Matt pointed out a couple things. One, I think someone else pointed this out at the last meeting, that stop signs have to be, can only legally be enforced if they are passed by ordinance. So rather than just do one at a time, I think it'd be better to try to get an inventory of what stop signs were out there that were missing, get an idea of the cost, and then put it together, and I'll review it with Matt, make sure he's good with it. He did say that the municipal traffic code prevents municipalities from using stop signs purely as speed control devices. So these would have to be, again, areas that, where visibility is bad, or where there's maybe a conflict of both directions, or perpendicular directions both seem to have right of way. So I'm going to put a list together, review it with Matt, and I'll bring it to council at a future meeting to look at the next steps on that. So it has not been forgotten. I had a couple COG updates, but I can give those, Nancy, at the end if you wish.
That'd be good.
That's all I have for now.
So just in terms of the stop signs, I'm thinking if people have an intersection in their neighborhood that they'd like to be considered to have a stop sign, can they just email that to you at your Verona Borough email?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to try to take a drive through town and just look for places, but if anyone has any others other than what Trish has sent me and what Joey's mentioned, it's D Matlin, MATLIN at veronaborough.org.
Yeah, because there's several down here. Janet, what were you going to say?
I'd like to say too, not so much on a stop sign, another stop sign on Center, but the section between the boulevard and First Street, the speeding has gotten really crazy. We had another accident last Tuesday, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday evening, right down in front of my house, Stephanie's house, where a lady was coming up the hill and too fast, bam, totaled 2 cars. 2 weeks before that, mine got sideswiped again. This is the 5th time in front of my house. So, it's not that it's very narrow, but people just go way too fast. I was talking to one of my neighbors this evening, and motorcycles flying up and down the hill. It's just somebody, you're afraid to even open up your car door without worrying about getting hit. So I'm very cautious. I ended up parking pretty much up on the curb next to the sidewalk because my car's gotten hit 5 times. So I don't know if we need to put another stop sign in the middle of the street there, but, or I know speed bumps are no longer legal, but something to curb the speeding on Center. It's really—
How about police sitting there sometimes, or put that little sign that says how fast you're going?
And we've had the sign up, a bit further up, and,
didn't do any good.
Children at play. There are young families too, in the neighborhood as well. But it's just been a bit much lately. With the summer here, people are really flying up and down that hill. That's all.
Yeah, I think there's been some concerns. I think with speeding elsewhere, so maybe that's something we can look into. Unfortunately, Matt did say that the stop signs can be used for speed control on Center, where you're talking about, Janet, but maybe there's something else we could do that would be that would help, that would be PennDOT approved. So we'll look into it. Yeah, that's all I have at this time.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I think I'm up next as Ordinance Committee Chair. We had our meeting yesterday, and there it is. We got a lot done. We're working on several projects. Some involve getting people to pay their taxes or regulated rentals and things like that. We're also looking at helping to remind people to cut their grass and deal with their weeds. The two ordinances that are being worked on right now diligently are the short-term rental ordinance. We are getting very close to the end for that one. And coincidentally enough, I got an email today about short-term rental training, which I shared with all of you for anybody who's not doing anything on Tuesday, July 7th at 1 o'clock. And also working on an animal control ordinance that needs to be updated. I wanted to mention that, I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, we actually did look at fireworks and an ordinance involving that. My understanding is that most of the rules involving fireworks come from the state. And one of the main laws about fireworks from the state is that you cannot blast off fireworks within 150 feet of a building, occupied or not. And my guess is around here in Verona, there aren't too many yards that are big enough to accommodate 150 feet completely around the whole property. So I know that a lot of people have concerns about fireworks, especially with the holiday coming up. And the best thing I know to say, and Craig, you can chime in on this if I'm forgetting something, but people need to let the police know if they're close to where fireworks are being set off. And I know that the mayor has instructed the chief to enforce our ordinance. Our ordinance does give the cutoff time, I believe, at 10 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. And but we need the public's help in order to be able to do anything about the fireworks. So just complaining on Facebook isn't going to do anything. So call the police and they'll come and help you out. Yeah.
Nancy, I'm sorry. So I talked to the mayor too, just to tie into this. He did talk to the chief. They're going to have 2 officers that will be patrolling the area, and particularly those areas that they've got a lot of complaints from. So,
okay.
Especially for this weekend, so to let folks know that they will be out there too.
Great. Okay.
And I'll just add, for the longest time in the state of Pennsylvania, fireworks were pretty much 100% illegal. You weren't allowed to set them off. Consumers weren't allowed to set them off at all. You only had you could set off the large people like Zambellis or whatever they are. A couple years ago, the state legislature, might even have been 3 or 4 years ago at this point, time goes fast, but they passed a new law and they allow the public to purchase what's known as consumer fireworks. They're a lower grade of fireworks, but they're still fireworks that, they go up in the air and they make loud noises. And one of the state has restricted their use. Like Nancy said, one of the restrictions is that they're not allowed to be set off within 150 feet of an occupied structure. A structure, when they use the word occupied structure, doesn't mean there has to be a person physically in there at the time that they're set off. If it's a residence, it's a residence. And like Nancy said, there's almost nowhere in Verona that is physically possible. So it's almost always a violation, and enforcement's the key. These fireworks are loud. They hurt your dog's ears. They hurt autistic children's ears more. They hurt the elderly, and everybody gets offended. And when it gets closer to the 4th of July, we have 2 days to the 4th. I think everybody expects there's going to be a few fireworks here and there. It's the fact that now it's a month before that people are lighting them off, and a month after them, and they just keep going and going and going. So it's good to know that the mayor and the chief are on top of it, and they're going to do some extra patrolling where it's been a problem area.
We've had one fire already in Memorial Day weekend, I believe, right behind the fire station, as I understand it. So I'd like to not have fires, and also I think people's yards are getting littered with debris from the fireworks. So, we have to, everybody needs to work together to help resolve this problem. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now in terms of ordinances. If we do get the stop signs together, then we'll formulate that ordinance at that time with all the intersections in one. And I am calling for an exec session. And so that's it for me. Mike, you are up next.
Oh, thank you, Madam Vice President. Hope everybody had some caffeine, because there's a boatload of things I want to go over. First of all, on the comprehensive plan, I've tried to reach out to Oakmont a couple of times through email. I'm going to follow up again the third time to try to have a meeting with them to try to get work together on a multi-community plan. We tried this before the COVID. It sort of fell apart. I tried a couple more times to try to reboot it. We're going to reach out again. I want to make sure, I want to see if they want to, if we can work together. And then, of course, with our president down right now, that sort of delayed some of the meetings too. So I need to have that meeting first before we move into other directions. The other directions we need, I also met with the Planning Commission, also with Dan Gold, and talked to him and to get them involved also with the planning and the comprehensive plan. So they're going to be on board and be part of this and be part of the steering committee as we eventually go forward. Once we establish which direction, whether we have to do it by ourselves or with another group, preferably with another municipality, that would be better. We can pursue the requests for proposals and grants and things like that. So I'm just giving you an update. There'll be more coming. Stay tuned. The other issue I had, and unfortunately, and I was hoping that that I could have was dealing with glass recycling. Was with glass recycling. Can you guys see? Let's see if this works. Will I be able to share a screen? You think?
Let me see something.
How about that? Did it work?
I think you might have to give him permission.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, try it now, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, it's not letting me. Oh wait, hold on a second. There we go. Okay.
There you go.
Yes, excellent.
Okay, cool. So the PRC, I'm talking to the Pennsylvania Resource Council on glass recycling for Verona, and there's two things that they do. One is it's called a traveling bin or pop-up glass recycling, and that's where they would come in, take care of all the equipment and everything. We just have to provide a space, and for a week they will have this one of these large glass recycling roll-offs available that the community can drop their glass off. Now, I was thinking this would be a great idea for all bars to be this and be able to fill this up in a week. And of course, any of the tonnage that would occur with this glass obviously would go towards our 904 grant. Well, unfortunately, the bars are closed today. We're not sure what's going to happen with that. And so I want to go back and really think if we have the volume for this for at least for a 1 week type of operation. The idea, it would cost $900, and they would take care of the setup, hauling, and all the numbers would go towards us. There would also be promotion for that, in which we would be, had we had community events, it would be a great time to do that. I'm not sure whether or not this is viable, especially with things that are going on now. But I think it's something we should consider. And one thing I want to consider is that maybe this could be a good experiment or a draw for us to have maybe a permanent facility that's that would be in Verona, that would be for the whole community, and be able to recycle glass. So I sent this out late. I apologize. I just got this. I meant to send it out earlier is what I meant to say. But would council be interested in perhaps exploring this further? Either drop off, or either a pop-up type of temporary thing, or a permanent glass recycling facility.
Yeah, I'm interested, Mike. Do you know, when you're talking about a possible permanent program, would this be through the Pennsylvania Resources Council, or would this be through someone else, or?
So it's a very good point, Dave. It could be either way. I mean, they will provide the services for that permanent. I'm thinking that would be nice, but I think we really should explore other avenues, whether we get our own hauler or contract with a glass recycler itself. And I think the sustainability group in Verona, which is going to be called Sea Green, is interested in this, and perhaps we can use some of their resources to help explore some of these other avenues, and including Matt too. We can also get some pricing for this too, and I'll do it also. So
yeah, the permanent looks expensive.
Well, this is what PRC is offering. That's why what Dave was saying, I think we've got to look at other alternatives.
Okay. I'd definitely be interested in looking around, seeing what we could do.
I was all gung-ho for the pop-up originally, but now with everything going on, I just don't see how that's going to be, especially only a week.
Yeah.
Mike, do you know, is it out of the question to try to get this through county hauling, like curbside, or is that not something that's really that they would offer or would be feasible?
Well, my point of view is county hauling is taking the recycling to Pittsburgh Recycling Center in Braddock. They accept glass. They do have a market for glass. And so I think that is actually another way that we can get glass recycling in is revamping the contract to include glass in our recycling bins.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I wouldn't want to further complicate our already, kind of long-standing issues with county hauling, but I'm just posing the question because I know, members of the public have asked about that sort of thing when glass recycling was talked about. But I think I agree that we should definitely pursue at least doing a trial run of the traveling glass and to see what kind of response we get, and look into more permanent options one way or another.
So right now they have them available through the end of August. I'll reach out to them and see if they're going to stretch that out further, that maybe after everything happens or everything, perhaps things get resolved and places open, they're going to have this available again. So I'll do some more research on it and come back.
Hey Mike, is there a way, having like different recycling dumpsters is, it's nice when it's effective, but the problem that we always have is that people put their trash in there and then it's contaminated and it doesn't do us any good. Can we try to figure out a way, maybe about a different dumpster or something that we can do where we can have it closed off, where we can maybe make it more difficult for somebody to put trash in with the recycling and get a more effective recycling center that we could put back where we had it next to the borough building, and because, you know, that 904 grant is valuable. And if we can actually have it where people are dropping off recycling and not their junk and their trash, then it is a good thing for the community. Do you have any ideas on how we can effectively do that?
Yeah, I think you can get, there are containers that are available that would be specific. Like that glass, for example, is very specific. It's very, it's limited to of the openings where you can put the material. But I think there are also other recycling containers that would be sort of designed for the specific material that you can put in. Along that, I think when we were talking about the cameras, I know that the cameras in the parking lot are being upgraded. So that would be definitely an enforcement tool that we can that would be recognized, that be able to recognize license plates and things like that and go after the folks that actually do that. So there's a couple ways of doing it. I'll be glad to research this further and come back with you guys on it more. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Okay. So there's a couple more things, and as far as back to the police on miscellaneous, and I'm going to tee up Craig too, if that's okay, Craig, for your lot. But let me talk about. We did get a resume for a part-time policeman, so who's interested in working for Verona, and we will be setting up an interview with the police committee. Found out this today. Obviously, with Pat being out too, I want to make sure that he's part of the mix too, as part of the police committee. So probably in a couple weeks, we'll be able to interview this person. So that's good news. That, you know, and the chief has to do background check and everything else. So keep your fingers crossed on that. So the other issue, and I'll tee this up if I don't mind for Craig, is that the VOP, the Verona Oakmont Penn Hills Plum group that Verona actually was the program manager for, who was managing the grant, the Active Allegheny grant, to do a feasibility study for a trail system going from Verona to through Oakmont, through Penn Hills and Plum, all the way to Boyce Park. Part of the feasibility study was completed. The report was sent to all the municipalities. I sent you folks a link to the report, and I also sent you a snippet of the recommendations of the VOP report. And there were 5 recommendations. One of them was to, oddly, and not necessarily in the same order, but one of them was to have trail systems part of comprehensive plans. How about that? Isn't that an opportune time to do that? And also included zoning to allow trail systems through that. It also suggested we need to do further due diligence and required legal title of properties that are along the way, and that's a whole nother phase for this. That's going to, as it goes forward, that's a whole nother that we hope to get another a grant for also. The third one was that the first segment that they were recommended was the one in Verona, is to actually have in Verona and to be able to connect into Oakmont, starting at the rowing club and coming up through East Railroad and eventually Oakmont. And the fourth one was actually establishing another steering committee or a point person to take on this next phase. Dave Matten and I have been part of the first phase. I think we still want to be part of the second, and we're going to set up a meeting with Bob in the near future once we move on. So where it comes to Craig, I'm getting to you, Craig, is that each municipality has to adopt the resolution to accept this plan and to accept these recommendations and to allow this to move on. So I'm gonna hand it over to Craig.
Thank you. I did prepare a resolution with regard to the acceptance of the VOP feasibility study. It's my understanding that Penn Hills has already adopted it at their last regular meeting. I think it's on Plum's agenda for this month as well. and I'm not certain about Oakmont, but they will be passing it as well. It's the resolution is a resolution of the Borough of Verona, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, adopting the Verona, Oakmont, Penn Hills, and Plum, aka VOP, Trail Feasibility Study for Verona Borough, Oakmont Borough, Municipality of Penn Hills, and Plum Borough, aka municipalities, as prepared by the VOP Trail Feasibility Study Steering Committee with the assistance of the Environmental Planning and Design team. And I'll just read the whole thing because it's not very long and we have people on the line. Whereas the municipalities utilize planning to guide the future development of the VOP trail within the municipalities, and whereas all municipalities involved in the feasibility study agree to proceed in conjunction with fellow parties included in the VOP trail feasibility study, and whereas all municipalities agree to the adoption and ongoing implementation of the recommendations set forth in the VOP trail feasibility study, and that's what Mike just reiterated. Whereas all municipalities agree to the best practices of progress recommended by the steering committee, and now therefore be it resolved at a public meeting duly convened by the mayor and council of the Borough of Verona, that the Borough of Verona by this resolution joins with the other municipalities named above and adopts the VOP Trail Feasibility Study document as attached to it as attachment A, pursuant to the powers authorized by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And a motion is in order to adopt that resolution.
I'll make
I'll
the.
make, oh,
Okay.
go ahead. No, you
Am I
go.
allowed to?
Yes, yes.
I'll make the resolution to adopt the VOP feasibility study and plan.
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. Oh, you're,
Anything else, Mike?
Just real
I
quick,
do not have anything else. That's it for me. Thank you.
Jerry,
Okay.
we just need to get a number on that. I think Marcia keeps the numbering system for that
Yeah.
resolution, and then we can get it signed in the morning.
Yep.
Thanks.
Well, Marcia will be back, like, I don't know, Tuesday or something.
Thank you all.
That's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Who's next? Ray, you're up next.
Don't have to, just one thing I wanted to talk to Jerry today about the audit. It's coming along. They need a couple more papers that Jerry's got to get to them, and we're looking in pretty good shape, he says. You got to get them papers to them folks so we can get the 2019 audit done. We're pretty close to the end of June like we had hoped, and we'll get these papers to them and we should be in pretty good shape.
Okay. Is
That's
that
all
it?
I have tonight. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Ray. Janet, you are up next.
Thank you. I have several things tonight. First one is movies in the park. The first one's going to be Friday, July 10th, and it's actually going to be movies in the borough parking lot next to the park. The rec board is asking if there could be a street closure right in front of Miller's Furniture there between South and that Grant there. That Grant and South by the Eagles.
James, I think it's James.
They had asked for 6 o'clock. Speaking with the mayor, we were thinking 7 o'clock closing time might be better because it's still kind of like rush hour, people coming home from work use that right away sometimes and coming from Giant Eagle and things like that. So hopefully that should give enough time for the setup, you know, for the movies apart. So if that's agreeable with everybody, I'd like to make a motion to close off the street July 10th for the movies in the park.
July 12th?
10.
Oh, it's the
Friday,
10th.
July 10th.
Okay, sorry. I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Any more comments or questions?
I have a question. Is
Okay.
that, you're saying between South and James?
Yes. right where the, or maybe not quite south, but right where the borough parking lot is. So they're gonna have, it's like a drive-in movie is what they're gonna do. Use the,
Oh, yeah, you can't, you're gonna have to, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to shut it off itself. There's nowhere for them to turn around,
okay,
especially that alley, Diamond Way being one way, coming the other way. If, you know what I mean? If they're, you can't let them come up to the, like halfway by Miller's parking lot. And there's nowhere for them to turn, so they're gonna have to, you're gonna have to shut it off at
The whole
South
block.
and James.
yes,
The whole block, you're saying?
yes.
Yeah, not half the block, right?
The
There's
whole
nowhere
Okay.
for them to turn
It'll
there.
have to be the whole block.
Because you're gonna be using the parking lot for a movie.
Correct.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. Mhm.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Go ahead, Janet.
Thank you. Also, I was approached this week by two different families. One was the family of Henry Gonzalski. Henry was born, raised in Verona. He passed away 2 years ago. He spent a lot of time, his family lived down by Riverbank Park. He spent a lot of time playing basketball as a youth, and most of his life was at the basketball court down there. His family had contacted the mayor, who passed it on to me. They would like to have they have a memorial plaque. They would like to put it in the basketball court. So I would like to make, if that's agreeable with everybody, I'd like to make a motion for the Gonzalski family to be able to put the memorial plaque in the basketball court down at Riverbank Park.
I have a couple
Second.
questions. What would the plaque say and where would they want to put it precisely?
I'm not quite sure exactly what the plaque says. It's a memorial that, maybe, the time you spent there. I'm not exactly sure on that. But wherever is a good spot on the, on the fence in the park, either if our borough guys can do it or if the family is allowed to do it, they would like to do it as well. I'm not sure how that works. So, but if our public works crew needs to do it, I need to let them know that as well.
Does the family already have the plaque, or are they providing it?
Yes, they're providing the plaque. They also want to donate $100 towards the park. It's part of the memorial as well.
It's a normal size plaque, right? I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really get the dimensions.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say as long as it's fastened securely, that it's not, easily removed or tampered with, I don't know whether our guys would have to do it or whether they'd be allowed to do it themselves, but I don't know if that's something for Jerry or for someone else.
I think if we have Jerry talk to our guys and see if they're okay with it, them mounting it, and then our guys can get down the next week and maybe just touch base to make sure it's properly mounted, so it's not going to fall down, but I'm okay with it. I know Henry was down there a lot. He did a lot for the REA and basketball for kids and that.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so does Janet need to make a motion? Should we make a motion? Yeah, go ahead,
Well,
Janet.
Janet made a motion.
I made a motion, if somebody could second
I'll
it.
second
I'm
it.
sorry. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passed.
I will get in touch. Thank you. I'll get in touch with the family and let them know, that we'd like to see the plaque. Jerry, if you could see if it's something our borough guys need to do first, or
Yeah.
use the plaque.
I'll touch base with you tomorrow, Janet. We'll get that figured out.
Also, I have another family that contacted me too about having memorial. The family of Bella Seacrest. She was the little girl that passed away in Oakmont. Her family, when she was a little infant, they lived right in that neighborhood as well, and spent time in Riverbank Park at the playground as a little infant. They would like to purchase a park bench and have put a memorial plaque on that park bench too. Whatever kind of type of bench would be appropriate for that park or down at Riverbank. So if that's agreeable with everybody, I'd like to make a motion for the Seacrest family to be able to purchase a memorial bench for little Bella.
I'll second.
Any other questions or
I do have a
comments?
question.
Okay.
You don't know what kind of bench, and they're willing to put whatever kind of bench in, correct?
Yes.
Maybe we can work in correspondence or in sync with, what's their names, with that recycle bench.
Trex.
The Trex bench, maybe we can get something that would match that, so when we, you get the two benches together, at least they're matching.
I did mention to the family that we did have that program and we did get a bench. So, I said, well, speak tonight and see whatever we agree upon. So I can.
I mean, I don't know the price of it. It might be costly. It might be too costly for the family. But, but maybe something to look into to try to keep it kind of uniform.
They're a Verona family, right?
What's that?
They're a Verona family, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The mother is from Verona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The child died in Oakmont, so.
Yeah.
I did notice on the news that they had the memorial for her right there at Riverbank Park, by the little pavilion. But my question about the bench is, like, we have a bunch of benches in that park that are hermetically bolted into the ground, as opposed to like the benches at the gazebo where you could just lift them up and walk away with them. So I would definitely like to let them do that. I just would like us to have an opportunity to talk with them more about what they're going to get, how it's going to match, and things like that.
I will communicate with them and, see what we can come up with to match what's down there.
Okay.
You could do that. And then as far as it being too costly, what's council think about helping with the cost to get that done?
I would be in favor of helping.
I'm fine.
I don't know what the benches cost, so I can't,
I don't either.
Yeah, I would be in favor if it's there's nothing too extraordinary, and I don't think it would be.
Talking with one of the family members today, there is a relative that does work with benches, so I can see what they come up with too. So they may be able to have, but if it is too costly, we can bring that up as well.
I think everybody is pretty much in favor of letting them do something. It's just that the details aren't ironed out yet. So maybe you could send us all an email when you get more information or pictures of some benches they had in mind, something like that. That'd be okay?
It'll be fine.
Yeah. But in terms of the general concept, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that motion passed, and we're just going to wait, contingent on the details.
Thank you.
Okay.
Another question I have too is, I know there has been a request for the banner for the farmers market. Every year we have one posted up at Cribs and one down along the boulevard. Do we know where they're at, or do we need to purchase new ones?
I don't think so. I'll call AJ and see what he's doing and why they're not up yet, and I'll make sure that gets taken care of.
Thanks, Jared. I did put a little one in the corner, Cribs, in the marquee there. And I did get some material. I am going to try to work something out where I may be able to fix that marquee myself. So once if I can get it to work, I'll let you know, Mike Forbeck, and maybe we can put it back up. We go from there. If not, we'll look into purchasing that new one. Also, Cribs Field, I know RAA has been asking for a key. I know we were talking, amongst the committee members that a key was going to be passed out. Maybe we can do a sign out system where at least they can have it so they can be able to get their equipment and do what they need to do. Anybody else have another thought on that?
I don't see a problem with doing it the way we're doing it now and letting the police open the gate up. They open it up day and night. And if they need the dual gates open, have the police come up and open it. I just think we ran into a problem last time where there was too many keys and we didn't have control of it. And if somebody takes a key, you don't know what's going to happen. That's just my 2 cents worth.
All right. Look into this further. I know I did mention it too. They could call the police as well. I know sometimes they don't want to, they feel like they don't want to bother the police, but that's their job too. I know that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me think what else. And what about the grass cutting in the batting cage? Is that an issue for our guys?
No, they just have to do it. I don't think it's going to be an issue either, but I'll bring that up again with AJ as well.
You know, I have to, oh, I was up
there a
there.
question at one time about the netting in there that was screwing up the mower or something? Was that the batting cage?
Yeah, the new netting is loose, and they had to kind of zip tie it up because it was getting caught up in the mower. And I think that they tried to. I think they remedied that situation.
Oh, okay.
So I just need to make sure that they're remembering to cut inside.
Okay.
And then if we can also communicate to them too that they're not to do the grading of the infields, and then I think the RA issues will be over. And I think that's everything I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Sylvia, you're up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice President. As we speak, the newsletter is at the Verona Post Office, and it will be in your mailboxes tomorrow, I was told. I did check with Rogers and DeTurk, and they said they took it to the post office today. Then I checked with our postmaster, and she said it should be in our mailboxes tomorrow. So I think you're all going to enjoy the newsletter. We had many, many wonderful articles this time. Also, I spoke with Shirley Davis, and because of the distancing, the dinners now can be picked up the last Wednesday of the month here at our Verona Methodist Church. And the next one, she said, will be Wednesday, July 29th from 4:30 to 6:30. So if you know of anyone that would like to come for meals, they are going to be available. Not to sit inside, but they will be to-go meals. And also she said that if anybody would like to donate a small gift card, maybe a $10 or a $20 one, to feel free to call Shirley. And her phone number is 412-828-3412. That's 412-828-3412. And she'll be glad to make arrangements to meet with the people. And also, I was asked to remind everybody that the Kennywood tickets will be starting on sale on Friday, August the 14th. And of course, there will be no buses going to the park this year. It will be transportation on your own. And I wanted to thank Nancy. Although we did not use our Verona chamber, the council chamber, Nancy took time out of her busy day to go in and reorganize everything. And I thank you very much for that, Nancy. That was very nice of you. And also,
We'll keep it that way in case we ever have a chance to use it with the 6-foot social distancing.
Right. Well, maybe next month. We'll see how things go. And just a quick question, Jerry, any updates on website?
Yeah, I actually been doing some research. I just sent an email that I had typed up before to doing research on different templates and things like that that will accommodate everything that we're trying to get accomplished. So it's in process, and we should be moving here pretty soon.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that, Jerry.
Is there any chance that in the meantime, there's still some things on the current website that are not current? could I
Can you
just,
send me an email of what those things are? Because
yeah, or just get with you and, yeah, okay,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Anything
Okay.
else, Sylvia?
That's it for now. Thank you very much. And everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July.
Thanks, Sylvia.
Welcome.
Anything from Allegheny League of Municipalities?
No, nothing. It's very quiet right now and everything is certainly on cancel.
I got a flyer in my mailbox about some golf outing on July 20th. I don't know if you guys got that.
I don't even know if that came to pass, if that's going to come to pass or not. I can check it and I can report back next meeting.
They have a golf outing annually, and
Yes, they do.
right now, as it stands, the golf outing is on. If anybody wants to submit a foursome, they're welcome to do that. I had a golf outing that was scheduled for with the city of McKeesport this past weekend, and it was canceled 2 days before. So the Allegheny League of Municipalities may cancel theirs as well right up to the day it's scheduled, which I think you said it was July 20th.
Yes.
Yeah, July 20th at the Allegheny Country Club.
We're in near Wickley.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I'll double check that and I can report back at the next meeting. I didn't say anything this evening because I just thought it was a little early. We'll see, as we get closer to the time. By the time we have our regular meeting, I will have a more concrete answer, hopefully.
Okay, and Mr. Matlin, anything from COG?
Yeah, there was a COG meeting last Wednesday, that I attended. And there were a couple things I wanted to mention. The county is using, I'm not sure the source of the funding, but the county has some COVID-19 relief funding that they are using to cover the match for various Cdbg grants. Now, unfortunately, they weren't able to cover all of the municipalities within COG or within the county. We have a sewer lining, a sanitary sewer lining project that was a part of that grant, and unfortunately, we were one of the 3 out of a dozen projects that did not get our match covered. So, not the best news, but just wanted to give an update. The next Cdbg cycle, the applications are in mid-September. I think Matt may have mentioned this in the past, and I know I've talked with Matt and Jerry about looking into, infrastructure or other types of projects that we could apply for. Matt usually tries to target 1 or 2 projects, so I'll be working with him and Jerry to try to come up with something there. And then something I just got from COG was there's a PA small business grant that just got announced. Jerry, did you get that information as well? I think it went to all the borough managers. It just opened today.
Yeah, I did. I did see that. Yep.
And I think it might be good to try to get the word out to small businesses in the borough. In summary, you got to be located and generate revenue in Pennsylvania, have an annual revenue of $1 million or less, and have 25 or fewer full-time employees prior to February 15th, 2020. And they're gonna. There's some other details. There's a website, pabusinessgrants.com, that has more information. But I think if we could get this information out to
I'll post it on everything.
Yeah,
it's a good grant. They announced it and it went live today. It's not first come first serve. It's based on need. They ask you what your income was or your revenue was for March through May of last year versus this year to see the drop in revenue because of COVID. It's up to $50,000, but it's based on your revenue. And the article that I read about it that got sent out said that that Pennsylvania has committed that over 50% of these grants will go to minority-owned businesses. So female, they ask for race, ethnicity, whether you're a veteran, disabled, whether you're a female. So they're going to try to help out the like more disadvantaged businesses, and so it should be a good program. I don't know how long it's going to take. There's different rounds. They said it's $225 million is the total amount that they're going to give out. The first round is only $50 million, I think, and that goes through July 14th. It's open today through July 14th. And then after that, I think the next round is in August, I think, or something like that. So it's going to be spread out over the next several months, I guess.
So
Yeah.
I wonder if we could find a way to spread the word about that for all the people in town who, you know, could use some help. I can think of several. You know, put it on our website, obviously, but give the information to Jess. Maybe she could put out a community email, and I'm hoping, you know, word of mouth, whatever. I'd like to see that the word gets spread about this. Sounds like a very good program.
Yeah, if someone could share it with the chamber, that would probably be a good idea as well.
Chamber, yeah. Cool. Thank you. Anything else, Dave?
That's all I have from COG. Thanks.
Okay. I don't think there's anything for TCC. So now we will hear comments from the public on public-related items. Please clearly state your name and address. Limit your comment to 3 minutes and use your virtual raising of your hand to be acknowledged. And it looks like Patty Tuminello is first.
Yeah, Patty's first. She's had her hand up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Patty.
You have to unmute, Patty. Or Jerry, maybe you can unmute her. I don't know.
I can ask her to unmute.
Okay, that's good.
I did that.
Patty? Hello? Maybe she's
Wonder
not
if maybe
there.
maybe she left.
Well,
right, we'll move
Patty,
on.
if you come back, you know, raise your hand again.
Raise it.
Laura.
Laura Jacko. Go ahead, Laura.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So couple of things, I was taking notes as the meeting was going along. I'll try to be quick. First of all, maybe I'll do this one first. The Fireworks Ordinance. I am out here watering the trees at Railroad Park and I can hear fireworks behind me. Like, if you go on to like Nextdoor or Facebook or any of the groups, you know, I'd say like fireworks and trash pickups are probably the two most complained about things around here. And like Oakmont and Penn Hills, honestly, like Oakmont shares our trash, you know, company, and they also have a lot of problems. Penn Hills also has a lot of these fireworks issues. I don't know like what the laws are as far as can we pass a local ordinance about fireworks on top of the state law, or if not, I know that Penn Hills has a noise ordinance that maybe we could either enforce an existing noise ordinance as part of this crackdown on fireworks, or you know, create one if we don't have one that would be relevant to it. I know for me and my, like everybody on my street, we're practically constantly every night texting each other, emailing each other, calling each other, and complaining about the fireworks and how it's waking up our children, our pets. Like, it's like I put my 2-year-old to sleep and he almost every night asks me if there's going to be fireworks that wake him up. It's crazy. So I think like I'm glad to see that the mayor is, you know, doing something about it, but I definitely would like to see, you know, some pretty strict enforcement of the laws that are already on the books. I mean, like, are people being fined I think they should be. Maybe that would put a stop to it. If someone actually got a fine for once, maybe they'd stop. I don't know. I think we should look at ordinances to do more. For the trash pickups, I was a little concerned that it was getting pigeonholed to issues just in the alleys. I would say that almost everybody I know has had issues with like the trash pickups, either missed ones or broken cans, or cans being thrown in the middle of the street, or cans being thrown just randomly everywhere. I think there's just borough-wide complaints about that, so it's not just the alleys, and it does continue to be an issue. No offense to the people that work there, they all seem to be very nice, but it's definitely not like it used to be, that's for sure. And lastly, Nancy, you mentioned something about an animal control ordinance that you're working on updating. I'd like to suggest that you consider what we do with cats. I know there's a lot of stray cats or people that let their cats out. It's actually really bad for the environment. It's bad for the birds. It spreads disease. And, you know, maybe like looking into how cats are regulated and cat ownership is regulated would be something I would suggest looking into. And lastly, very supportive of Mike Forbeck's ideas for glass recycling. I think it's a tragedy that our current trash people, even though they take our recycling to a place that takes glass recycling and encourages it and has a market for it, that they somehow pretend that it's impossible to take glass recycling. This is ridiculous to me. We used to have it. We can still have it. And I think that we need to get that figured out. So those are my comments on the things that were talked about. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, just to let you know, the ordinance that we're working on does address all of those issues that you mentioned about cats. Okay, looks like Stephanie is up next.
Hi guys, I just want to touch base on the funds for the farmers market and whether or not I can make a decision to get some advertisement from print and copy, nothing outrageous, but you know, do I have to keep coming to you guys anytime I need something little, or can I just do that knowing what funds we've brought in?
I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody have any ideas?
I would think if you're spending borough money, is it borough money at this point? You'd have to come to us. What do you think, Craig?
Spending borough money, the borough has to authorize it.
Okay, so when we bring in money from the farmers market and I send a spreadsheet of what we've taken in and I get no response in asking for that, what do I do then? Because I've already sent out an email asking about spending $118 for a banner, and I have yet to hear from anybody.
Who was that? I didn't get an email regarding that. Did anybody get that email?
I got an email, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Stephanie. I believe I responded, but I have no problem spending money on that. I believe it was a banner for the information table.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the farmers market.
I just didn't know if I need everybody to, do we need to go to a meeting for this? Can I send an email and get an okay? Or, you know, what's the process for that? Because there really has been no guidance on how whoever manages the market comes to the borough for things.
So is $118 just for one banner?
Yeah, and for the information table.
For the information, $118 for one banner for the information table. Like
I
to
get
put
that
it,
it's borough money because it was written out to the borough, but the farmers market brings that in.
okay. Yeah,
mean-
I guess, I mean,
Craig, could you possibly expand on borough money and how it's to be spent and stuff? I mean, I'm not really exactly sure. I mean, if it comes in even through the farmer's market, it's still borough money. You gotta show it in and show it out, correct? You're muted.
I mean, how's the money generated? The farmer's market's a borough function, right?
No.
yeah, and the people pay a
They would
fee.
get every vendor pays $50 for the season for their spot.
You know, it would make sense that that money be utilized to put back into the farmer's market to make it a better.
That's fine. I just want to do it the right way.
So, I mean, I hear Stephanie asking for $118 to buy a banner. You know, does anybody want to make a motion to authorize that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments?
I would just make a comment that, so the email that was sent out wasn't sent out to all of council. It was sent to Janet, Dave, and myself. I would think that we should clarify, the council should clarify how to actually request this money, because that's where the confusion is. The money's coming into the farmer's market. According to her spreadsheet, she's got $201 left after the expenses, based on what's been paid so far. So $118 off of that, there's still money left in the till. So next time Stephanie needs money, we need to come up with a process that's going to be able to, because that seems to be where the confusion is. So does Stephanie need to email everybody on council? Does Stephanie need to come to a meeting and ask formally? Am I authorized to just authorize it myself? Council needs to set up, we need a process. What does everybody agree to?
I would like to see the email. So I guess for future endeavors, and this, just in my opinion, whether it's for farmer's market or anything else, that someone wanting us to consider whatever it might be, to send an email to everybody. That would, then I would know what's happening. And I would have the opportunity to communicate with Stephanie about what her thinking is behind it. At the same time, a lot of times I get an email that's not sent to everybody, and I think it's something that everyone should see, so I just forward it out to everybody. So that's something that we all could do for each other if an email comes in and everyone's not on it.
So in the future, she'll send an email, and then it'll be part of, then we would be voting on it, or does Jerry automatically, if we okay? I mean, we'd have to vote in a public forum
I think
to pay for that?
That's a policy that you guys have to develop. I mean, right now, there's a motion and a second on the floor to authorize this particular purchase, and that motion needs to be voted upon. But we can create a policy in the future to give Jerry the authorization to spend up to X amount of dollars for the farmer's market, or to have council pulled when an email comes in. There's all kinds of different acceptable ways to do that, because we're not talking about a lot of money in the borough code.
Pulling council's easy with emails or text. Pulling council's not that hard.
Right. So the borough code allows for you to make policies for small expenditures, I think up to $1,500. So let's just vote on this one now.
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, we were in the question and comment phase of the process. Brought up a lot of questions and comments. Any other questions or comments on this motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. So Stephanie, I guess you just get with, Marcia's out of town right now. She'll be back on Tuesday. I don't know how the checks
What I
get
would say to
generated.
do, Stephanie, is just go to print and copy and get your banner and tell them to bill the borough. That way we don't pay sales tax on the banner.
Good deal.
Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, in the
And
meantime,
so,
though, in the meantime, I'd still like to see the email.
I'll forward it to you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Stephanie, go ahead.
so am I just to clarify, I will email all of you the next time for whatever reason we need to. I don't foresee spending anything else unless I don't know, advertisement wise. I'll just email everybody and then go from there and wait to hear a response. Or Jerry, am I going through you?
Well, email everybody because they haven't given me the authorization to just go with it. So just email everybody, and then as long as everybody's okay with it, then we'll just do it.
We'll work on a policy.
Okay, perfect. That would be great. That way there's a clear line. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Rhea.
Rhea.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Council. My name's Rhea Homa. I live at 742 Burnott Street. I wanted to share my enthusiasm about having a glass recycling pop-up in Verona, as well as measures to improve like education, signage, and compliance with current and changing recycling rules. Verona's sustainability group, Sea Green, that was mentioned earlier, does look forward to helping to provide resources and ideas to help council address these issues as well. Also, I wanted to echo concerns about center between Allegheny River Boulevard and First Street. My husband and I live at the corner of Center and Brunot Street, and we noticed that about half the traffic that passes our house is speeding, and as much as a quarter of the traffic that passes it's traveling at a very dangerous rate of speed for a town road that is shared with pedestrians and side street parking and cars pulling in and out of side roads and driveways. It's a concern for us, and we're very aware of it because we hear all that traffic. It's very easy to tell who's zooming by. So this has been a concern for me and my husband for a while, so I'm glad that this also came up in the meeting today. And I look forward to some positive changes or to hear what possible changes may be done with that. Also, I wanted to touch base in regards to the family that is interested in placing a memorial bench for their daughter in Riverbank Park. I noted that the Trex Community Bench was brought up during today's discussion. I would be happy to provide information to the family regarding our newest bench so that they could potentially match it. It does retail for $300. Or if the family would be interested, I have just been kind of texting with the rest of Verona Community Group, and we're in agreement that we would be willing to donate our first Trex bench to the family, and then they can add their own plaque onto the bench, and it can be installed at in Riverbank Park, as was the initial plan anyway with that bench. Yeah, so if they would be interested in that, we would be very excited to donate this first bench as a lovely memorial to this beloved girl. If they have any questions, feel free to send them my email. Janet, Nancy, both of you have that email, or feel free to reach out to me if there are any other questions, I guess. And finally, I do look forward to the positive changes regarding council's communication through the website. It just makes a lot of sense that that should be the primary place that we're able to go at any point and find information that is useful for residents regarding agenda or council meetings or any other events that you have. So that is it for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Rhea, for the generous offer for that family.
We have Brian Duncan next.
Brian's next, yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to circle back and make sure that I'm clear on a couple things regarding cribs. So the borough will cut cribs, the batting cage area. I know you mentioned about the netting. You know, it is loose. I mean, that's how it's designed. It's a lot safer than the cage that was there before. They simply just need to pick it up and, you know, move the mower through it. The dragging of the fields. So will there be, I mean, we will repair the bases again this time, but like, if that happens again, can we be assured that somebody will communicate to us that it has happened, rather than trying to, like, we show up there and try to do a practice or a game and their bases are missing. You know what I mean? Like, I would just like to have some reassurance that there would be some communication between the borough and the organization on stuff like that moving forward.
Jerry?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're just not going to drag the field anymore. I'm just going to have them not do it, so
Okay.
they won't be damaging the bases. And as far as the scoreboard goes, that should have been communicated, and I apologize. But
okay, all right, yeah, and like I said, like, we'll fix it. Like, that's not a problem. Just let somebody know. You know what I mean? That's, you know, we were just thrown off.
Yeah.
And then finally, for the key situation, I understand the position on that. You know, certainly disappointed in the decision, but I just want to be clear. We are to call the police, right? Because I mean, I'm very hesitant about that, only because police have so many other things to do rather than open the park gates for somebody, you know, and it just kind of, you know, like, for instance, somebody just mentioned speeding, you know, like, I mean, they could be doing, you know, fireworks and speeding and all sorts of other public safety things. So, I mean, I just want to make it clear that that is who we are to contact moving forward, right?
My understanding, and my understanding is also, especially in the summer, that they go up there at 7 or 7:30 a.m. and unlock it, and they don't lock it again until it's dark. So,
Well, but I'm talking also about, like, the bigger gates. You know what I mean? If we need in the bigger gates, not just the man-sized gates,
right.
you know what I mean? But the bigger ones, that's usually the issue more so than the smaller ones.
My guess would be, if you knew when you were coming over and needed the bigger gates open, you know, like, maybe you could call the day before. The chief would be on duty, and you could say, could you just ask the guys to make sure they open it? You know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, to communicate to us when I need to do it, right?
And
okay. All right.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Now, I don't know if that's okay, Angela's next, but Rhea and Brian's hands are still up. So maybe we should take them down. Okay.
Yep, they're gone. Go ahead, Angela.
Okay, hi everybody. Angela Capini, 521 Center Avenue. Last week I sent an email over to Jerry and Mark regarding a little hiccup in my backyard of 520 Center Avenue. Apparently, the last time somebody was digging up the Maple Way, they left the asphalt debris in my backyard. So I've got a nice pile of asphalt up to my knees that I have no way of getting rid of. I already contacted we were trying to figure out who had done that. So I called Oakmont Water and I talked to the project manager down there, and he looked into his records. In the past 3 years, they didn't, you have to call the PA1 call to before you dig. And in the past 3 years, they had not worked in that alley. So we're just trying to eliminate who could have been the last person in the alley to dig up around the sewers. I know I've got the green paint on the asphalt to prove that it was marked, but I'm just trying to figure out who dug up the alley and left the debris there, because I'm trying to have whoever did that remove it. I have no way of removing that asphalt from the backyard. So I don't know, Jerry, if you researched it, the next step I was going to say is maybe I can call, or somebody can contact Matt Pitch to see if he put in a call for the digging. It looks like there was...
My understanding of it, Angela, is that it wasn't that anything was dug up there. My understanding of it, and it's something that we're going to discuss in exec session based on personnel, but my understanding of it was that the previous owner of that property years ago asked for fill for some project that he was doing. He asked for that asphalt to be there.
Oh.
So it wasn't just like abandoned, like they didn't get rid of it. So I
Okay.
have to, we have to have a discussion on how we want to handle that.
Okay.
So I'm hoping
Okay.
to get some resolution to that tonight, and I'll be able to email you tomorrow.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Also, I also want to thank you guys for the $1,000 that you gave the Garden Club, being that we missed out on our fundraiser this year due to COVID. We had no way of raising funds, and that $1,000 is very helpful. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I think what Patty was going to speak on was her son, Darren, who is our caretaker of our baskets. It was brought to the hospital this morning, and he is actually going to be out of commission for a while. He's going to be on restricted activity. He is not going to be able to water those baskets. I don't know for how long. I won't know anything until tomorrow when the doctors give an update, but as of now, we no longer have Darren. And I did speak to Nancy about some different scenarios, different people we could possibly use, but I think she's going to speak on that at your exec session, so I'll just leave that there. Also, if you noticed around town, there are a few of the baskets that look a little bit more dried out. I called Matt Resnick last night, and he looked at those baskets for me this morning and called me this afternoon, and it looks like they're just going to need watered a little bit more, which we are going to try to step up doing the watering maybe a couple times a day, especially since it's gotten really, really super hot. Also, the recommendation was to maybe swap out a few of the baskets that are doing well. Seems to be one side of the street that the baskets are really looking great. They're doing better because I guess there's a little bit more shade there. So his suggestion was maybe move some of the bad baskets to that part of the street, and then the good baskets. And I think most of them are really down by the, there's a couple on East Railroad, but most of them are down by the post office. So I just want to maybe give you a heads up that we may have to ask the street crew to just move a few of the bad baskets down to the shadier side of the street so we can revive them and get them, back up and looking good again. That was Matt had suggested that we do that. So, and if you do decide to do that, we'd like to do that quickly because I don't want to lose them. He says they're not going to die, but I don't want to put any excess stress on them. And I'd be happy to make myself available to show the street crew where to put them because they're not going to know where to.
I would just say we need to know, we need to work together to figure out which ones you want moved and like that, so those guys know where to go.
Yeah, so I'm available almost any morning to show them, where to put them. I probably would have to physically show them. I try to mark the poles, but I think it's easier if I just showed them where to put them. And like I said, there's not that many. There's a few, but there's not, it's not like all of them. It's just probably about 10 of them that are going to have to be swapped out in a different area. So just a heads up on that one. Also, I do agree with Janet. I know there's a lot of speeding from Allegheny River Boulevard up to First Street, but there's also a lot of speeding from First Street to Second Street. I don't know if they're racing to get to the stop sign. I don't understand it, but I was going to say, if you want to put a speed trap up, you're more than welcome to my side yard. The police are more than welcome to sit in my side yard. I got a big tree that would hide them. I mean, it would be a great hiding spot, but I'm just putting it out there if they need a place to hide to give tickets out, because I think you start giving tickets out and people start realizing that they can't keep doing this, then maybe it'll cut down on the speeding. But you're more than welcome to my side yard for that one. And then also regarding the Bella Seacrest that died, and they're going to do the memorial bench. I think that's wonderful, and I think that donating that Trex bench is a great idea. But I was also wondering what your thoughts are on maybe the garden club planting a little garden around that bench. We can use some of your donated funds to build a garden right around the back side of the bench or around the side of it. I'd be willing to do that. I'd be happy to do that. If Janet, if you wanted to reach out to the family and let them know, give them my contact information, I'd be happy to work with them so we can design something for her.
Okay, Angela, I can do that.
Okay. And I think that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. I'll email you tomorrow, hopefully.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Okay. Nobody else has their hand raised. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, wait, a motion to adjourn to exec session.
Right.
right? Is that correct?
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
Jerry, are we staying right on this Zoom?
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
wait till everybody logs off.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Anyway, motion to adjourn to the exec.
Motion.
Second.
Mike, Ray, okay, cool. All the, any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. This
You know that-
meeting is officially done.
Taking a bathroom break.
We just ask the public to please sign off.